This is Brian Brown, president of the International Organization for the Family and founder and publisher of ifamnews.com. So excited you're here to join us for our first show. I have the great opportunity to introduce you to a number of leaders from around the world who are standing for faith, family, and true freedom. You and I both know that there are billionaires like George Soros putting so much effort and so much money into undermining life and family around the world. But in the face of this overwhelming force, whether it is in Africa, in Latin America, in Eastern Europe, or even here in the United States, there are people that are willing to stand up and speak truth to power. And I look forward to introducing those leaders to you. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Southern California. I grew up right outside of Los Angeles, grew up surfing and playing football, went to Whittier Christian High School, Whittier College, UCLA, and then Oxford University. I planned on being a history professor, but God had something else in store for me. So I ended up being devoted to pro-family activism and taking over as president of the National Organization for Marriage. NOM, the National Organization for Marriage, was the main group that led the ballot fights across the United States and state after state that went to the voters that defined marriage as the union of a man and a woman. Perhaps the most well-known ballot fight was Proposition 8 in California, where even in liberal California, the majority voted to amend the Constitution to define marriage as the union of a man and a woman. Unfortunately, the United States Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, an illegitimate decision, decided to throw out those votes. But through that fight, I had the great blessing to meet leaders around the world, especially at the World Congress of Families. And the World Congress of Families is the international organization for the family, one of the main events. And every year or 2 years, IOF gathers together leaders and activists around the world to learn from one another, meet one another, and to advance the pro-family cause. I was blessed to lead the World Congress of Families with Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Hungary, and then with President Igor Dodon of Moldova, and finally, just about a year and a half ago, in Italy with Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini, where thousands gathered to stand up for faith, life, and freedom. Well, enough about the past. I want to focus on something that's happening right now. And this first show is explosive. And that's because we focus on a great organization, the Coalition for African American Pastors, that is being targeted by the IRS and being threatened that their tax-exempt status will be revoked. So I look forward to you watching this show and future shows. You can always visit us at ifamnews.com. Look forward to your comments. God bless you. Hello again. This is the Brian Brown Show. Very excited that for the first show we go public with, we are having a real doozy of a show. We have some information that you will not believe. Our government, the IRS, targeting conservatives again, and not only targeting conservatives, but going full bore to try and strip the tax-exempt status of a group of Black pastors that stand up for biblical truth. I am super happy to have Deborah Owens, Dr. Deborah Owens, on with us today. She is a good friend, and her husband, Reverend William Owens, is the president of the Coalition of African American Pastors, and he has been a great friend. And we have some story for you. Deborah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for taking an interest in our story and for sharing it with your audience. We really appreciate that.
Oh, God bless you. We've been friends a long time, and when I heard this, I've seen, we've seen a lot. We've sued the IRS, we've seen a lot. But when I saw that they were coming after you, I thought, boy, have they made a big mistake. So let's start at the beginning. You get information from the IRS that you are being audited. When did this start? When did you hear about this, and what did the IRS say?
So, Brian, in the spring of 2019, around March or April, we received a letter from the IRS stating that they were going to be auditing our 990 for 2016. When we got the letter, we were in the process of moving not only our corporation, but our family to Texas. We were living in Nevada at the time. So needless to say, we were shocked to begin with that they were going to be auditing us. But then on top of everything, we have this huge document request, and we have records in Nevada and some records in Texas. And so long story short, we asked our current CPA to get more time so that we could, get the records to the IRS agent. And they did give us a little more time. I have to tell you that it was document request, though, after document request after document request. And our CPA felt that just from the first line of the letter, she said, you're going to need an attorney. She said, they're coming after your C3 status. We didn't get an attorney. I just continued to fulfill the various document requests over time. In the spring,
you kept giving them what they asked for.
Everything.
Yeah. You wanted to comply with the
Everything
law.
but my children.
I know this because I've seen how you bent over backwards. In the middle of all this goes back to 2019, but in the middle of all this, how was Bill doing? How was Pastor Owens doing?
Oh, so Bill ended up having a procedure done in 2019, but he also had one this past summer. He had a watchman put in. And I wanted to get back to the spring of 2020 because right in the middle of a pandemic, they opened up 17 and 18.
I see. So they started with 2016, and then they go for 2017.
Yeah, in March of this year, in the middle of a pandemic, they opened up 17 and 18. My kids are at home, homeschooling. We've never had a pandemic situation before. Nobody knows what's coming next, and they find it time to open up 17 and 18 and more document requests. And so it became as if, it didn't become as if, it became obvious that they were targeting us. They were coming after a Black pastors group. And I believe if we weren't as effective as we are, they wouldn't be coming after us.
And let's stop right here.
Go ahead.
Lay out your mission for all of our viewers and listeners. What is the mission of the Coalition of African American Pastors? Our
mission is to educate the African American community on issues pertaining to our values, our faith. So as you well know, because we worked alongside NAM to save marriage between a man and a woman as God ordained it. We believe in life. We believe life begins at conception. We don't believe that a baby can be born and then you can decide that you don't want the baby and you can murder that baby.
Right.
We believe in school choice. We believe that a parent should have the right to take their child out of a failing school and have an option to put it into a charter school, homeschool, whatever the situation is, whatever is best for his or her child. And the government should have no say in that. The money should follow the child. We don't believe or subscribe to the transgender ideology. We believe in biology. A boy's a boy, a girl's a girl.
you believe in what the Bible teaches.
Absolutely.
Completely. And this is no real surprise, should be no surprise, but they want to try and make it as if this is not acceptable anymore. So you provide all the information. The letter says that they're doing an audit, they're looking at your finances, but they're also looking at your tax exempt status. What happens from there?
Well, it wasn't until the summer
Mm-hmm.
that I had a conversation with the IRS agent. And I asked them point blank.
The summer of 2020.
This past summer.
This past summer, yeah.
After he opened up 17 and 18, and I'm still in the middle of a pandemic and homeschooling kids and Bill having surgery and everything that's going on in 2020. He's still, asking for more documents and all that. So anyway, I straight up asked him, are you coming after our C3 status? Because I don't really know what your real intention is. So he says to me, I'm going to put it in my report that you engage in political activity. That was the first time he ever came clean. He hadn't put anything in writing, but that was the first time on a phone call. I'm going to estimate it was August, but it was in the summer, that he was going to report that we engage in political activity. We did not get the letter, Brian, until, guess when? We opened the letter the day before the election. I found that quite strange.
Mm-hmm.
November 2nd, we finally get the official letter saying that they're going to revoke our C3 status. They gave us until November 27th to answer. We reached out to you because we've been friends for a long time and we've been in this fight. And we knew about your situation where you sued and won. And so, as you know, they gave us until the 27th. In the meantime, my dad goes in the hospital November 8th. Subsequently, unfortunately, we lost him. He passed away on November 13th.
And I'm sorry.
Thank you.
In the middle of all this, he
in the middle
away.
Of all of this, my dad passes away.
Dies.
We had his funeral on November 20th. We have a few days now to answer this letter. I asked my POA, she's no longer my POA, but I asked that particular POA to ask for more time. Let the IRS agent know. She had power of attorney. Mm-hmm. To communicate with the IRS agent because of all that I was going through. She reported back to me, they understand my situation, but it's highly unlikely that we're going to get any more time. I thought that was
no extension. No extension. You have to go to your father's funeral, and let me just back up 1 second.
Right.
How big? What is the budget for the Coalition of African American Pastors? Basic.
Well,
it doesn't have to be exact.
I'm happy to say that we take a little bit and make much. We're effective with under $500,000. Under $500,000. Yeah. We're very effective.
Let's just say under $500,000, they've decided that you are public enemy number one.
And they're going to spend all their resources and time with us. In fact, I told the agent when he told me he was going to come after our C3 status, I said, why don't you go to Washington, D.C., to those corporations that have millions of, those nonprofit corporations that get millions of dollars. Why don't you go there first? Start with them first. Yeah. But anyway.
So they don't even care. They don't want to give you time. That's when I got involved.
Right.
Since, I've seen the documents, people. They're basically saying that because the Coalition for African American Pastors, the Coalition of African American Pastors is standing up and saying you should not, if you're a black pastor, you should think about leaving the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party's abandoned the black community. They're saying you can't say this. And this is the 500-pound gorilla in the room. This is the Johnson Amendment. They're basically saying that because President Johnson said back in the 70s that a Christian group who opposed his election had too much impact, that from then on, churches, pastors, 501c3 organizations could not engage in electioneering. Now, I read this. Most of your statements aren't even electioneering.
We just educate. That's all we seek to do.
And this IRS agent says, and we're going to release these documents, this IRS agent says that it's because of your conservative ideas. He says something like that, conservative ideas about, they were promulgating their conservative ideas opposing the Democratic Party. What?
Yep.
They're going to strip you of your 501c3 status?
Yep. They want to shut us down because we speak the truth, unashamed, unafraid. And Bill and I mean, if it takes the last breath in our bodies, we're going to continue to do the work that we feel God has called us to do, speak the truth in the public square. And the IRS agent, though they're a government agency, they have some power. They don't have all power.
Right.
They don't have all power. And so we're working with you, but we're working with God, and we're going to ask your supporters in a minute to help us in this fight. But truth always prevails. Yeah. And they don't like what we have to say because it's the truth.
Well, they made a big mistake.
Point blank.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but this is a big mistake. The IRS has tried to avoid a frontal confrontation with a group like yours and tried to avoid litigating the Johnson Amendment for many, many years. There have been cases. There are a couple examples of the IRS shutting down a 501c3, a church, or removing its tax-exempt status. But in general, it's wanted to avoid this, because you and I know that this is absolutely targeting and selective enforcement.
It's intentional.
You've got Jesse Jackson. You've got all of these black pastors coming out there endorsing Biden and Obama. Yep. No problem. But as soon as the black pastors come up and maybe say a few nice words about Trump, maybe say we've got to think about whether we should always vote Democrat party line, just test those waters. No more. Yeah,
they're saying, well, who are they? Yeah. They're supposed to toe the line. Yeah. They're black.
Yeah.
Who are they? So
you're not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to say that. So now where are we at now? I mean, this is, as I said, this is going to be the biggest. We're breaking the story here, and I'm involved in this. This is going to be one of the biggest stories of 2021. I mean, this is a big deal, because you are not going to be pushed to the back of the constitutional bus. That's what you said in the letter. You're not going to allow them to do this to you.
That's right. And so let me give you the last of the story, a little bit more of the story. So the 27th was the day after Thanksgiving. We got the letter. I faxed the letter, and then Federal Express the letter to the IRS agent, asking for an appeal of their decision. As you know, on the 28th, Bill falls and breaks his hip.
Right.
And had emergency surgery and is now in rehab, and he's doing well. He should be home on Monday. Even in the midst of all of this, the IRS still continues to pursue this. To me, it's just absurd. Not that because Bill's in the hospital, they're going to change their minds, but they continue to press. Like I was visiting Bill, as for an example, a day last week, the IRS agent called me. I didn't take his call because they give you a certain amount of time for your visit. And when I listened to his voice message, he said to me, "You have one day to return the call." After knowing that Bill's in the hospital, he says, "You have one day to return the call. I'm closing out your case and I'm moving on." And so I called him back a little bit later. He didn't answer. So I sent him a message via fax, because they don't do emails at the IRS. And I also left him a message on his voicemail. And I told him, I said, there are going to be times that you're going to call me and you're not going to get me. And there are going to be times that I'm going to call you, just like now, and I'm not going to get you. Let's just plan on making an appointment to speak. Yeah. So I made an arrangement via typing up this message via fax.
You probably at this point you probably had a little. You're about at the end of the rope of jumping through their hoops. Yeah. You've
got one day. And my husband, I'm like, you're the last thing on my mind right now. My husband's the first thing, and my family's the first thing on my mind. So anyway, he closed on our phone call that next day, he closed out his part. He says it's going to his manager who's going to review it. And then from there, it'll go to appeals. So that's where we are.
And we are going to have a copy of that letter that you wrote, which I think is absolutely perfect. I think it's great.
You.
Yeah, and
we did that with some of your help.
Yeah, we did that. We had some
teamwork,
we were working together. We had some teamwork. But look, that letter lays out your stand on this, and that is, we didn't do what you're claiming. All this that you're claiming we do, we didn't do in the way you're saying it. If at some point Bill got out and exercised his freedom of speech as a pastor and talked about how
he's got the right,
he liked Trump, so what? Now you're going to shut down our tax exempt status. Well, you're not going to take it. And I want to let all of our viewers and listeners know, we're not going to take it either. The National Organization for Marriage Education Fund, another group that I lead, we fought the IRS before, NAMV IRS, when they released our donor names. We forced a settlement. You rarely win against the IRS. And we are going to help Bill and Deborah. We are setting up.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we are going to set up a fund. We're going to do everything necessary. We encourage you to donate to help. We need the donations. We also need you to spread the word. Yes. And we have a petition. We want the Congress to look at this. And we want the IRS to relook at this, and we want them to know that we're not going to accept this. There needs to be an investigation, just as there was an investigation years ago of the targeting of conservative organizations. Just as when we filed our lawsuit, eventually Congress changed the rules so that 501c4 organizations no longer have to list their top donors. You know, we fought, we won, and we changed the rules. So we need to do this again. This is going to cost money. We need to help you guys, and you cannot be left alone to bear the burden. What is at stake here is simply our civil right to speak freely and not be targeted by our own government. It is the most basic freedom, and we cannot allow this to go without standing up and fighting. So, as you know, my blood. When you reached out to me, my blood was boiling, and I'm still worked up about this. And we are going to do everything in our power. The petition is important. Donating is important, because we're going to have a gargantuan fight. This is the fight over the muzzling of pastors, the Johnson Amendment. This is that fight.
And the muzzling of conservative groups. If they win, they would have set a precedent that they can go after conservative groups. And if they can come after African American pastors group, who else are they going to come after? Yeah, my husband marched in the civil rights movement as a student. I mean, he has standing. Who else are they going to come after if they come after a Black group?
Yeah.
If they can, and they can't win. They can't win.
No, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. We're going to do everything in our power to help. There's a lot that people need to do. People need to immediately sign the petition. We have a special donation link to help the Coalition for African American Pastors. We have a defense fund. We are going to do everything in our power to both raise the money and to fight this fight. We need good lawyers. We also need people to know, and I'm hoping that as we go public, more and more people are going to want to hear this story, because it is really, as we've talked about, it is just unbelievable to me that with all you are going through, I mean, Bill is 81 years old now.
Yep.
81 years old. Can't even.
Still works every day. Until his fall.
He's got more energy than I do. Bill is a powerhouse, and I've known him a long time. But there's really, you and Bill, there's very few people I have higher respect for. What you've done, what you've gone through, your willingness to, buck the trends, buck the tide at times where people are trying to, people trying to shout you down, shut you up. I think the IRS picked the wrong target here.
They picked the wrong target. And you know what? I want to just thank you again. I mean it sincerely from the bottom of my heart. We could not do this alone, and especially with all that we've had to endure the last couple of months, forgetting the pandemic and all of that, but just with, the passing of my dad, then Bill being in the hospital, caring for our young children, fighting the IRS. There were days I didn't know if I would be able to stand. And right now I am the backbone, and, the kids need me, Bill needs me, the ministry needs me. And so you've offered me a measure of relief. And I just want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for standing up to work alongside us to fight this battle, which has to end. It really does, because they have two different sets of rules.
Right. Why else are we alive other than to try and stand up against injustice like this? I mean, God is presenting this, I know it's hard because of all that you've had to go through, and the heartlessness, the machine-like determination to punish you. I know it's hard, and I'm not trying to, I'm not a pastor, but I've listened to enough pastors and priests to know that when something like this happens, even though it's hard to see in the middle of it, because I know from our conversations that it was so hard. I mean, this is just hard to go through. You don't know what they're going to do. It's the power of the government, but
they're messing with our lives. I mean, this is our lives.
But the power of God is going to beat back the power of government. I believe that is going to happen. We need to not, though, do sometimes what Christians do. And this is a little pet peeve of mine, where they say, well, we'll just pray. Well, I believe in prayer, but Paul says you need to pray and act. Yeah. So do something. Look, some people, I understand some people right now may not have the best finances, but you're probably going out to get a burger here and there. $10, $15, whatever you could do. We want to help raise the money to defend CAAP, to support you. Also, sign the petition. We'll have more information below. You're going to be able to see, look down below, you'll be able to see the actual letter that was sent to the IRS, and you can see this is serious business. Now, Deborah, after this, you're doing what a mom does. You're going to pick up your kids. You have to take time out to
pick the kids up from school. That's right.
Bill is still away. We need to pray for him. Everyone needs to keep Dr. Bill Owens in your prayers. He is a holy and good man. He needs to be in our prayers. But if this doesn't get you going, if you believe in God, country, true freedom, if you believe in our right to stand for traditional marriage, for life, I don't know what's going to get you going if it doesn't get you worked up that we've got the IRS trying to take folks like you and Bill out. That is unacceptable. And
they're trying to destroy us, point blank. They want to destroy us, only for speaking the truth.
So what parting thoughts do you have, Deborah, for everyone that's listening or viewing the show?
Well, I want to, again, thank you for sharing this with your viewers. And I've watched you for a long time, and you're a great leader. And I know the people who are following you and who support you, I know that they're going to hear your heart, and they're going to trust what you're saying about Bill and I, and they're going to do the right thing. So I'm just, again, encouraged that we have a friend in you, in Nam, to stand shoulder to shoulder with us, so that we don't have to continue to just bear the burden alone, because we've been doing it for almost 2 years. Can you believe it? Almost 2 years. They opened it in March of 19, and we're almost 2 years into this. And so I just want to encourage your viewers as well, to let them know that you're also a good man, and you're a true leader, and I appreciate that.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless and I hope we're going to have updates. We're not going to end here. We are going to have updates on what happens. The most important thing, visit nationformarriage.org. Check out the information, sign the petition, donate. We're going to be sending emails out. It's the end of the year. And we are devoting our work because this is so important. It's so connected to the fight for the family and fight
That's
for
right.
marriage. And also, this show is hosted on our on the ifamnews.com. So, as founder and publisher of ifamnews.com, we're reaching now 8 different languages. I want folks to know in different countries around the world. I meet folks all over, and whether it's Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, that there's a fight going on around the world for the family, and that in America there are many, many great people that are standing up, and we need to unite together globally to stand up for truth. So anything you can do to pray, act, stand for truth. This is a critical case for the future of our country, whether pastors are muzzled or not.
That's right.
So again, God bless you, Deborah.
God bless you,
We will talk
Brian.
more. And
yes. Say hello to your wife and family for me.
I will. They're being very good. I've got 9 kids too, and they're here right now, and they know Dad's doing a show, so they're quiet.
Good.
So we'll talk more. God bless you.
God bless
Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll have more in the coming weeks.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.